Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today in deck number 903, we're going to talk about Syrix, the Carrier of the Flame. We got there. I know I have been asking for a legendary Phoenix for years, and they finally gave it to us. Now, it is black and red. I don't know why they put black in there, but I'm certainly glad they did. Most of all of the Phoenixes in the past have been mono red. As a matter of fact, the 22 Phoenixes that I'm running in this deck are all mono red. But black gives us the ability to have other abilities in the deck besides, play creature, turn it sideways. So, let's look at Syrix. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing that right, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So for 4 mana, we get a 3/3 Flying Haster. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature card left your graveyard this turn, target Phoenix you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. So that could be this Phoenix. And the beautiful part about Phoenix is they come back from the dead. They all have different criteria for how they come back from the grave, but they do come back. Whenever another Phoenix you control dies, you may cast this from your graveyard. That is beautiful. It does let us get around the command tax. If when Syrix dies, we just let it go to the grave. So that way we can just spend 4 and cast it. Yes. Now, where to begin? Let's start with our mana, shall we? We have quite a bit because notoriously Phoenixes started off being very expensive for not a real big creature. So they've gotten cheaper through the years. 4 mana for a 3/3 Flying Haste is outstanding by Phoenix measurements. But we do have quite a bit of mana ramp in here, or color fixing, yeah. So, Soul Ring, Fire Diamond, Pillar of Origins is good when we have a tribal type deck. Ornithopter of Paradise, Rakdos Cluestone, Sisay's Ring, Firemind's Vessel, Bloodstone Cameo. I did try intentionally to get the Bloodstone Cameo. I know it's strictly inferior to every other current mana rock, but I wanted that old school vibe as much as possible. Hence the Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual does work well with something else that we've got, if we happen to get it on first turn. Also the Pyretic Ritual. Thank you very much, Chris, to making the Pyretic Ritual happen. Wayfarer's Bauble, Commander's Sphere, Colligan's Monument, Rakdos, Signet, and Locket. I know that's a bunch. I know it is. But it's going to take it. We're in black and red, which don't have the easy access that green has. So, card draw, of course, Painful Lessons, Sign and Blood. But now, stuff like Village Rites, this is awesome because we get to sacrifice a creature that's going to come back because it's probably a Phoenix. To draw 2 cards. Fatal Grudge, same way. Except Fatal Grudge, y'all know I try to use as many new cards from the current set as possible on these decks. But this is perfect. The only thing that would make this better if it was an instant. So, you play this spell, you sacrifice probably a Phoenix, a creature. And then everybody else has to sacrifice a creature, and then you can draw cards. So, it's beautiful stuff. And then we have Cut of the Prophets. Casualty Casualty 3 is not that hard to do in this particular deck. We get to copy it, draw X, lose X. Now, before we get into the Phoenixes, let's look at some of the other cool stuff like Final Parting. Is this not the perfect tutor for this deck? It's the only tutor I've got, well, kinda. Because you get a card to your hand and probably a Phoenix to the yard that's going to have, with so many different comes back abilities, Final Parting allows you to put the Phoenix in the yard that you have the capability of bringing back right then. So, Buried Alive, there's been Swamp, Ritual, Buried Alive, turn 1s have been happening for years, and they're always disgusting. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity here. Also, Buried Alive, putting 3 Phoenixes in your yard, that's kind of sweet. Patriarch's Bidding, because sometimes you just want them all back now. Sinister Waltz. Choose 3 creature cards. in your graveyard, you get 2 of them at random. Is that not perfect? Especially for Rakdos Field, you know. And then put the other on the bottom. We have the Industrial Advancement. At the beginning of your end step, you may sack a creature. Cool. If you do, look at the top X cards of your library. X is that creature's mana value. You may put a creature card among them on the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom. Enchantment. We get to trade a creature. Sack a creature that we have to get a creature that we don't have. And that creature that we're sacking is probably coming back, right? Value. Graveyard Shift. It was a good book. 5 mana sorcery. It's got flash. As long as there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard. We've got all kinds of stuff that's planning on going to the graveyard. But you get to return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, it costs 5. That's probably 1 to 2 more than we like to pay. But it does work. So let's roll through our Phoenixes, shall we? Flamewake Phoenix. I'm not going to go through all of these, because they all are pretty wordy. But Skargan Firebird. If an opponent was dealt damage, it gets to come back. Magma Phoenix. This one comes back to your hand. Firewing Phoenix. Comes back to your hand. Spellpire Phoenix. Yes, that is 9 lines of text. Kuldotha Phoenix. Metalcraft, another reason why we've got so many artifact rocks. Screeching Phoenix. Here's one you don't see a lot, but I love that 3 mana team breathing. That's amazing. Better than fire breathing. It's team breathing. Yeah. Rekindling Phoenix. Of course, that one's been doing stuff for a while. Shard Phoenix. Shivan Phoenix. Ash Cloud Phoenix. Retriever Phoenix. Somebody count how many times I use that word just on this video. Akum Firebird. Lightning Phoenix. Warcry Phoenix. Everquill Phoenix. We also have the unintended side effect of all our creatures fly. I mean, most of them have haste, but they fly, so that's kind of a big deal. I like the Skyfire Phoenix. Cast your commander, it comes back. Aurora Phoenix. Now, there's a couple of cards that I had to put in here to make Aurora Phoenix kind of work. Flying Cascade, cast a spell with Cascade, you get this back. So I did put in the Flamekin Herald and the Bituminous Blast. Yeah, it's been a while since I've put that in the deck, hadn't it? Molten Firebird, Phoenix of Ash, Chandra's Phoenix, and Immortal Phoenix. And that, just the idea of having a tribe that comes back from the grave, at regular intervals, does some things, it kind of, the Warstorm Surge there. So every time they come back, they're just going to deal their power and damage. Okay, that's cool. But let's look at Protection Racket. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can repeat the following process for each opponent in turn order. You don't see that line very much. You reveal the top card of your library. That player may pay to life, equal that card's mana value. If they do, you exile the card. If not, put it in your hand. So this is card draw or damage or both. Yes, it is one of those cards your opponent decides, but either way, it's bad for them. Welcome to the Kobayashi Maru. So let's look at our remove. Whoa. Okay. One more card. Make an example. All your opponents, you don't have to do this. Separate your creatures into 2 piles, and for each opponent, you pick one of their piles to sacrifice. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. It's a different style board wipe. You're going to get roughly half You're going to have some people that want things to die and some people that really want one creature, so they'll 4 and 1 or whatever. But now we're to removal. Stuff like chain reaction doesn't hurt us that bad because if our creatures die, they're eventually going to come back, right? Lightning Bolt, Terror, Vandal Blast, Doomblade, Rakdos Charm, Murder, and I'm using the Ingenious Inspiration here because it has Learn, and one of our Phoenixes you got to learn. So that is why that's in there. Now, to be a 2-color deck, I typically have more non-basics in 2-color decks than I do in 3. But we got a bunch here. So let's roll through it. Most of them are just color fixing. Cinder Barons, Alchem Refuge, Ash Barons, Thriving Moor, Path of Ancestry. We're using, tribal. Rocky Tar Pit, Drossforge Bridge, Command Tower, Terramorphic Expanse, A Pair of Deserts, donated by Mr. Chris. Thank you, Chris. Desert of the Fervent and Desert of the Glorified. Thank you so much. Myriad Landscape, Sulphurous Mire, Rakdos Carnarum, Bloodfell Caves, Evolving Wilds, Rakdos Guildgate, and Thriving Bluff. Now, I realize that is a whole lot of comes into play tap lands. It's a lot of 2-color lands or things like that. But my reasoning is at any given time we're going to want to come up with 3 or 4 specific red, but we're also going to want to cast our black spells as well. So that's a thing that we've got to take into account when we want to build our mana base. So 903 is done. It's going to go to the wall. Deck has been played. I think Ryan played that deck. I don't remember how that game went, but we played a bunch of games this past week. They were all quick games, and I bet we got 9 games in that evening. It's good times. Anyway, that's what I have got for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we're going to go ahead and shuffle.